Welcome to the Cyber AI Chronicles podcast presented by Digital Edge, where strategy meets security and trust empowers growth. My name is Stacy Jennifer, and I'm your host for today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to the Cyber AI Chronicles. Today, we have with us Daniel Wilson, a security specialist from Cyber Intel Training, along with our very own Digital Edge CEO, Michael Petrov, discussing general AI security. So I'll pass it along to you, Daniel, to introduce yourself. Thank you for being on the show.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm the CTO of Cyber Intel Training, founded in San Jose, and actually co-founded from Singapore as well. So we have a lot of global reach. And I work in AI. I studied at MIT and won several awards for AI-assisted digital forensics products. And I worked as a digital forensics specialist starting in the year 2004 for 18 years at one company in Redmond, Washington. And I got to work with a lot of cool projects with F5 Networks, Philips Medical, Siemens Medical, a lot of other technology players in the area, Microsoft, of course, you know. Everybody's my client. I spent years fixing Microsoft problems. I felt like I worked there. Anyway, but right now I help a lot of people engage in utilizing AI safely and securely in their companies, and I help other developers find the right types of tooling. And I'm a huge open source advocate, and participate in a lot of things that try to bring the communities together to help and bolster this cultural shift for more security, and especially for AI. Everybody needs it, and even without AI, it's been a nightmare out there for people. Social engineering is on it's never been like this before. Okay, and we all can agree it's skyrocketed since generative AI has fallen into the hands of everyone. You know, and so I have a few things I want to bring up, along the way here, but it's just incredible what we can use as tools ourselves to help protect these systems, and along the way, I pick up everyone at the intersection of AI and security. We all talk, okay? People who are involved with the U.S. government at various levels. We all have our tricks and things that we do, and one of the nicest ones I saw right off the get-go, back 2 years ago, in fact, was people using generative AI to pre-fill out CVEs. So they can later be, scanned and understood and utilized better. But they were just taking the whole process of incoming information and creating a pipeline and using the AI to help put that together for the security specialist at the other end. And it was an amazing small tool, and it addressed a pain point of having to type a whole bunch of stuff in or copy and paste a bunch of things manually. And hey, that's important, is to give more time for quality. If you're in a battlefield, the more time you have to look, really observe what's going on, the better decisions you can make. And needlessly typing and reloading, whatever, like you have to see it as a war, sometimes. So, but yeah, I've seen a lot. I've caught a lot, intercepted a lot of viruses and Trojans and things like that in my time, and caught criminals. So.
Can you speak a little bit about, your forensic work, because this is very interesting subject too. I mean, we'll kind of warm up for AI. We participated in many different situations when forensic was requiring, and there are different level of forensics that we saw. Some people are saying, "Oh, we could do that," and then when it's like tough assignment, they're like, but we ourselves, we could disassemble and kind of like go very deep into malware. And like our latest example is we got work when we were dealing with latest version of Medusa that was not detected by anything. And what was interesting for me is that anti-malware providers, they did not recognize it, and we started reporting, and they started picking up signals only, I think, 3 weeks. We even have like a chronicle, like when we were doing like our work on incident response. We were taking screenshots of different anti-malware providers. How many we were using like virus tunnel and was showing, okay, now this provider detected uh, these packages of malware. Then,
Hmm.
so they started kind of reliably detecting it like 3 weeks later. So this is how long, and this is after we reported
Yeah.
malware to them.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of when people ask me what is best malware, I'm saying the one who react faster, because everything else is like a marketing, because
Hmm.
everybody can reliably detect uh, something that is old, but new stuff is. So what is your experience?
Yeah, I mean, it just there's so much zero day potential right now. My experience has been with things that lately have just been the cross integration of systems prematurely a lot of times. And because you can't, it's so hard to get your hands on anything, even remotely, right? Because there's the black box issues of AI. There's data poisoning at different levels. It makes it very hard to pin down unless you can get the digital evidence. Keep in mind, I spent 18 years in physical device forensics, okay,
That's
and
what's
then also
interesting.
graphic like video forensics and stuff on devices and things. So it was different for me recovering and securely recovering data off of either like damaged or infected devices. And we would get thousands of samples in from, or I mean like samples, but thousands of products in from like Wingxing, okay, like Hong Kong, and they would be pre-infected, and their teams wouldn't even know it there. And all these USB devices would have things that would get around everything, and so I would scan everything a certain way and find things. And I was also specialized in circumventing a lot of copy protection systems and things like that. And so a lot of my specialty revolved around those walls and devices, and then what you can do to trick out software. Okay, that's why I got hired as a hacker back then. So my experience is kind of weird, all right, because it's all on the physical end, but mainly hard drives and devices. But when you catch something bigger on AI yourself, you have to have as much of it on your side as you can and access to it, and then whatever logs you can get, right? So let's say you're using LLaMA on your PC or your computer of any sort, and you're using it to talk to local LLMs, and you've got the new GPT-OSS from ChatGPT, or excuse me, OpenAI, and it has a web search feature. Well, that doesn't just do a web search from your computer; it connects to OpenAI, and now they're snooping everything you're doing
Huh,
while they're providing you. They have to, for
that's
user like
interesting.
abuse, but they do these things and they don't really say it out in the front, right? So like in it was it June, there was a big exploit. What was it? Was it the actor token exploit? I think somewhere where it was the OpenAI system. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what it is in the deep research of OpenAI, people were able to poison it and get it to connect to other people's Gmails and OneDrive and things
Oh,
like that through OpenAI's ability to connect, make connections, right?
oh,
Yeah, right. So document poisoning is one thing, right? So I can take a doc and I can put a bunch of white text on it that you would never see and make it really small and use CSS tricks to misguide anything. But the agent that would get a hold of that would find that, take those instructions and silently build a situation in itself, right? Start to sort of domicile some things because you can make it do that, and not say anything. And then utilize that later to exploit, make get a hold of user information and credentials, and further case them out, right? Because you that's just one leg of orchestration in something like people who use SpamGPT now. Have you heard of SpamGPT? This just
no.
came out. So actually, it's been around for a while. It's about $5,000 on the dark web. Okay, and what it is an entire. It's like a customer management system for not just spamming, but for phishing. So it's for phishing, really. They call it Spam GPT. It should be called Fish GPT, for what a lot of people say. But let's see here. I had some notes for it. So it's like Kali GPT Assistant. It uses different mail tools to do stuff and automatically authenticates fake email, new email addresses for all these phishing campaigns en masse, right? So it's really well orchestrated, and people are using it to great success. And it's, the whole kit sells for 5 grand as the whole package. It has real time analytics too, so it can track open rates, click throughs, delivery metrics, optimize phishing effectiveness. It uses evasion capabilities, so it uses spoofed headers, abuses trust cloud services like AWS and SendGrid to bypass spam filters. That's what makes it really dangerous. It gets around the filters too. And then DMARC enforcement, DMARC. So you're compromising email servers, you're bypassing spam filters, and you're automating phishing at an industrial scale. Now, on an iPhone, like I have, this was happening even further back where they were some, I forget how they did it, but they were able to bypass and use in the system of Apple or for iPhone to actually get to your phone with a message that made it through the spam filters. It looked legitimate,
Well,
like it's from them. Yeah, so these are the tricks right now, and it's like it's social engineering and stuff like this to me that are just so deadly right now, and it's like a new levels of zero day. Okay, I teach leadership about cybersecurity and help put it into business terms for them, right? And I teach with a partner, and we have a global operation doing this. But there's an AI section of the course, a whole module for AI, like half a day, and it's another world inside of itself. I mean, we know it's all just software. It's all just SaaS. It's all just something out there operating its data, right? It's always just cybersecurity. But with the special level of sentiment analysis that AI can provide, it can do the heavy lifting the human would normally do faster and more effectively and in duplicate. Like, here we're running lots of instances of this same small model, right? On my hard drive, on my computer right now, I don't even have that big of a gaming card. And with my 12 gigabyte NVIDIA, I'm running 2 different models, developing code automatically, scraping the web, doing network scans, and it installs software on its own, right? I wrote all this securely, no frameworks, no one knows what this looks like. And that's secure, right? So, but I'm seeing all the capabilities of protecting, but I'm seeing way more offensive tactics than I have yet to see because everyone's running around trying to adopt MCP, Model Context Protocol, and it's a huge gaping hole in itself. It's new. It's naive. It really is ripe for exploit. And then people have been poisoning them, making poisoned MCP tool servers. So it's not just at the document level; it's at the control level, information routing, AI routing, what we call it, really. So
I
you
wanted,
know, yeah, it's a lot to dissect
I,
these days.
I,
So.
I wanted to kind of throw like our experience, and I want to ask you a question and your take on
Hmm.
this situation.
Hmm.
So, like, number one, I think people don't even like realize that sometimes data would go outside, and uh, for example, there is a tool, and that tool basically say, okay, we can analyze your data using AI, and they would basically grab the information and push it to, let's say, OpenAI,
Hmm. Their
and
API,
the
yeah, right
the
there.
the owners of the data, they didn't clear to use OpenAI for the information. They trust
Right.
their provider,
Hmm.
but for them, like OpenAI would be third party, and the situation with like awareness of clients that their information, their
Hmm.
provider can take this information, push it somewhere. It's like
Right.
the very kind of like people don't even like realize it yet that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
data may end
Uh-huh.
up somewhere
Right.
just because.
It really
Yeah,
does.
and people just
Yeah,
not
it
aware of
does.
that.
Yeah. Here's the scary part. Okay, so I do a lot. So let me just frame this. Back in February, yeah, February, I became an AI sovereignty, AI data and sovereignty advisor to Malaysia's National AI Office, and I worked in a working group remotely here from Seattle every week on not just policy but really effective strategy and management for what was coming. And Malaysia is amazing. They are growing in ways that they've surpassed the United States in some ways for certain approaches to data and privacy. Okay, And I was a big part of helping them adopt France's Cloud de Confiance, which is a sort of cybersecurity seal of approval with a very stringent level of that for AI products. If you work for the government or critical industries, right? It has to meet that standard, right? There's a dire need to understand where your data lives, okay? And in Malaysia, they were worried about using OpenAI because hey, we want to start exploring AI, and everybody comes in as suitors trying to get them to adopt their technology. Nvidia, Meta, Microsoft on different levels, OpenAI, and I was there to say, no, let's not do that. We have other ways of doing this, and it's sovereign, and you own your data. So when you do something on OpenAI, they have to snoop it for abuse, right? Hey, are they trying to make a chemical weapon? Are they trying to do some biological thing, right? Are they trying to hurt people or create some malicious thing or a crime plan, right, for something orchestrated? And so what happens is on any given platform, mostly packets get snooped in real time, and they scan for this stuff, and they'll hold it for like 30 days or 60 days or so, whatever the policy is, right? And then they let that go. But if it was flagged and it got escalated, then that might be different, right? But for the most part, everybody who's safe, their data gets held anyway for a certain amount of time, then it goes away. But with all the shifting in policy, you never know what's going to happen, right? And so there was a few weeks ago there was some mandate, and I don't know if it's been overturned or not, but a judge was ordering ChatGPT to they have to retain indefinitely all user conversations and scan all of them for stuff and turn people over. And that's what
Oh,
Sam Altman even had to announce like a few weeks ago, right? So you're looking at like a nightmare forget about criminals and anybody who's abusing the system. You think about every day, hey, I'm going to talk to so and so about my problem I'm having. I'm going to talk about these people I know. All of a sudden, there's a chance that private conversation could have been leaked through OpenAI, right? And so, no matter how safe or upstanding you are, okay? So, when you use the API, and you're right, companies will get a company to do something for them. That company will use, we're using AI, we're AI powered, we're going to do this, but they're using OpenAI's API. All that company's data shot through there, unencrypted to that server. Now that's going to be under scrutiny, and then whatever GDPR, like we use in Europe, right? At different levels and policies, like data retention is wild. Some companies have different rules, and then here the government can step in and change that. So Malaysia is very hesitant to work with Western companies because of this, because if they change something, our data is in peril, right? And as Americans, our data is in peril anyway. I went there to help them prevent what's happening here because of some larger things I'm a part of that are nonprofit. They're big efforts for sovereign AI in America. So, but yeah, that's the thing. People won't know where their data is going. They won't know for how long, or if it's encrypted, or if it lives on some other server, right? If XYZ solution provider that does AI services for someone, a company comes to them, hey, here's our company data. You sign this NDA, you can have access to it. We want you to do some training for us to help us do this, right? We don't have our own hardware. We're going to do this cloud based. We'll deploy it on our own cloud later, but we need you to train us and get it ready for us. And no one knows, hey, that's probably a bad practice what y'all are about to do. And so they pass that off to who knows how many teams or people or what have you. And all of a sudden that information is scattered out there in various ways. And
right.
the chances of some things coming back are pretty low, but if there is like an overall exploit and if it's traceable, then there it is, right? Um, you you just don't need to protect yourself from that. You need to just avoid that, and do things differently. Um, and
I
if
think
companies can't tell you their plan on how they're going to manage your data, you don't work with them. Like,
I
you just
think
don't.
first step, like companies need to be aware of it, and companies need to even understand that it's a threat. Because again,
Mm-hmm.
you are using Salesforce, for example, and
Mm-hmm.
you kind of think that okay, Salesforce is using this information for whatever it's sitting in their database, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't recognize that they could push it anywhere
Yeah.
around. And I don't think that there is a provisioning, like contractual provisioning, that they cannot send it to third
Right.
party to them for
Mm-hmm.
for the analysis. But I have another practical question. So you mentioned LLaMA. The thing is
Yes.
that like if you wanted to do any AI work in medical that is like under HIPAA requirements,
Mm-hmm.
uh, LLaMA could be a way to keep information private. Do
Yes, it
you
is.
see?
It is.
Yeah, because you could even like ask any public tooling, are you guys you know ChatGPT, are you HIPAA compliant? No, it will be like right away. So
Right,
did you
right.
see any LLaMA implementation and also like a pitfall that LLaMA, and let's say they have open GPT model there
Mm-hmm.
or llama or like any
Mm-hmm.
other models running there. Is
Yeah.
there any concerns about data proliferation out of private llama deployment, or you didn't
Oh,
see anything like that?
it's just it only works with okay. So I will. Would you like the screen share to see it?
Yeah,
This is the LLaMA application that sits in your tray icon, and you can open it too. When you install LLaMA, it serves models to your local host. And I
right.
use Python. I'll write something that connects to it. And I have probably 60 or 70 different models right now in my machine. And I try a lot of things out because I work in healthcare, security. I help a lot of different people with a lot of different projects. So I'm always trying things out. But as you can see, where my mouse is, there's a little web button
Exactly.
here, and I can click it and it's
Exactly.
blue. It only works with GPT-OS 20B. Okay.
Right.
Now you can just now lately LLaMA has offered cloud compute where you can use whatever models you want on cloud that you rent, right? So, again, still they say that they're more private. They're very private, but I'm not into doing that. I'm not here for that. I'm here for the local computer, right? So if I come over here to all these models it lists, I have a ton here, right? And for what you were saying, what would be really great, what would be HIPAA compliant, would be to use LLaMA 3.1. It's only 4 GB in size. It's an 8 billion parameter model, right? So if I go to LLaMA 3.1 here, and it's very stable. It's very good for a lot of things, right? Good for structured output calling. Also, even the smaller LLaMA 3.2, it's only 3 GB in size, I believe.
What about
And
what
yeah.
about? I'm very interested in GPT. So let's say
Mm-hmm.
there's a model, there is an application that throws data in LLaMA through APIs for GPT model OS GPT OS model to
Mm-hmm.
process. It processes and it returns basically a reply.
Yeah, it's
Do you
local. Yeah,
think?
so yeah, yeah. Show me some uh, JSON JSON. Yeah, JSON interchange examples that are HIPAA compliant. Let's see here. Now you can privately use this model and tune it with the open weights they have provided for this model. And you can keep it private and you can make sure it never talks to any other system but your own. Okay?
Nice, because again, this is like one of our projects that we are running for
Mm-hmm.
our medical client, where we collect
Mm-hmm.
certain data, we analyze this data,
Yeah.
and we're trying to do like automatic decision or automatic suggestion. And
Yes.
the concerns for that thing should not be talking to an outside world. This is
Yeah.
concern.
Right. That's how. Yeah, we keep it sandboxed, and you don't let it go out. So right now it's thinking. Yeah, if you had a 16 GB NVIDIA card, you'd be having a slightly faster time than I do with this. But I use the smaller models a lot. Llama 3.1, Gemma 3. I use Quincoder 2.5, 14B. I have a lot that are really specialized for a few things, but it's easy to fine tune models and get them geared up for your deployments for certain things. And you don't even have to do that if you use different control structures and different frameworks around it. So right now it's generating what it wants to do for some HIPAA compliant JSON examples. I just wanted to show the compute
No,
view.
even
Yeah.
the question is interesting because we
Yeah.
could research it, but
Hmm.
what are practical suggestions? Right, kind of like uh, going to the end of the show. What is your kind of from the bottom of your heart? What is the message to the community? What
Oh, the
people should be
message.
aware of?
Well, I think a lot of people are probably aware of not to ride this hype wave. and not to trust the AI. And a lot of the hype has to do with, oh, we're replacing all these people with AI, and all companies are making great efforts to try to do this stuff, but a lot of things are failing. A lot of this automatically generated code and vibe coding and things like that. Even with if you're a developer who knows what they're doing, it's just another tool. But if you're a vibe coder, you're just creating problems later because you don't know what you're writing. You really don't understand the control structure or what's secure or what's the right convention to use for something. And it's just it's the wild west of there's going to be so many security breaches this week because of it. And MCP servers, like I said. So my word to everybody out there is to carefully inspect and discover what's going on with these tools. Stay behind the cutting edge so you don't get cut yourself, right? And just don't like roll your own APIs that are secure. If you need to build a tool system to say, oh, do math for me, or do a web scrape, or do connect to the company database internally securely, and then provide this stream of data for us to use for analysis, right? Then there's a right way to do that, and you don't need some popular tool to do it. You don't need to try to buy in on like tons of agents and things like that. You need to address your pain points where they lie and where they matter, and then protect yourself. Because again, social engineering attacks and other types of document and tool machine poisoning attacks are on the rise. And so avoid the hype and avoid the hype adoption, and just execute on due diligence. Be
I
prudent.
love that. I love that
All
suggestion
you
of
can
like a
do.
hype
Yeah.
because again, like sometimes people just jumping on the marketing, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes companies are outperforming not on the technology but on the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
take two products and people say, "Oh, you have to be there,"
Yeah.
and it turns to be that it's just basically the same product, but they outmarket everybody.
Right. I watched the CISOs from OpenAI, Meta, Claude Anthropic, and AWS all talk on stage in front of me in San Francisco this year at the RSA convention. And they all said the same things. They were worried about the security of their AI systems, and they didn't have a complete answer. So we all have to be careful for ourselves and look out for each other. That's my
Right.
bottom line. So,
And
yeah.
my other advice to add to yours is like be always aware that your data, as soon as you put it in, could end up like you really need to understand what third party providers would do with your data and
Mm-hmm.
contractually log them, because you could be legally responsible as a custodian of this data to know whether this data can go. And if you are vetting your third party,
Mm-hmm.
they have to have contractually promise you that they're not going to be pushing this data for processing like anywhere else. So that's kind
Right,
of
right. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And it's been we watch companies recover. It takes them 9 months to get out of a situation where things got too far. And my team works with crisis management companies that come in after a big event like that and help them recover and save face and get their data back. And so watching the cleanup end of it is horrendous. And so to
yeah,
prevent that is key. And yeah, we've got to watch out. Don't believe in what someone tells you it's secure. Figure it out. Make sure. Do your due diligence. You'd be
yeah.
surprised at how insecure it really is. And
Everything is secured
yeah,
up to a certain point.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. How secure? Right. Exactly. So, anyway, yeah. But that's that. I mean, there's a lot of fun things to explore. And hey, look. I mean, a playground is a playground, and a business is a business. And the problem is we got all these one. I mean, there's no problem with innovation and development and having fun and building new things. Right. I love this stuff. Okay, as a developer, but it's exciting. But it's just as dangerous as it is exciting. We built this hot new race car, and there's no seatbelt.
But
That's what I see.
for a bar,
It's
200
just like
miles
that, right?
an hour.
So,
Yeah, it
thanks.
was so
Yeah.
great chatting with you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being on here. Yeah, definitely just barely even, not even touch the surface, like barely like
Started unpacking problems.
Yes.
We've got a lot to cover this year and a lot to catch up on for sure. And I'm here for it. So,
Let's catch
uh,
up. Let's catch up a
yeah.
little bit, and I'm sure that we're gonna have more subjects to discuss.
We're not here to add to the noise. We're here to help you lead with clarity, security, and confidence. Thank you for listening, and subscribe to catch up on all of our future episodes.